Hello and welcome to my vlog all about StationeryFest 2025. I suggest you get yourself a drink. I have a iced coffee in my Thriller Reader tumbler, and I will probably be sipping on this or pausing the video to sip on this whilst I am talking. But yeah, grab yourself a drink and buckle in, because it's going to be an open and honest video about my thoughts and opinions about StationeryFest this year compared to the 2 years before. Hi, if you're new here, which most people are because this is still a new channel, I am Linda and I run an online store called The Grumpy Tortoise, selling relatable stationery, clothing and gifts. Right. I have a notebook, so if I keep looking down, it's because I'm checking my notebook and my pieces of paper. A, for my stats and my figures and my numbers, and B, because I wrote some notes on it to keep myself accountable and to not go off on a tangent, which I probably will, because I'm me. But that's what I'm looking at. Also, please excuse my outfit. It's hot. It was 33 degrees yesterday. It's going to be like 29 degrees today in Bristol. I'm not feeling it, so we wear summer clothes. I have, however, put a bra on today, which is why I didn't film yesterday, because I wasn't putting one on when it was 33 degrees heat. Also, another caveat, there's probably going to be a couple of deliveries this morning because I'm waiting for some restock so that I can fulfill some orders. So if my dogs go crazy, I probably won't be able to cut that out, but I will pause and then go do that and then cut back. So these are just the things that could happen when it's the summer holidays and I'm home. So I want to preface this video with a couple of the caveats, disclaimers. I think there might be disclaimers. These are my thoughts, these are my opinions, these relate to me and my business and my opinions of how the event was compared to the last 3 years, not anybody else's. And the other thing is to say that I will be sharing my numbers and I will be sharing my stats and I will be sharing those from the last 3 years. I missed this when I was starting out as a small business. Like, it's so daunting that you just don't know where you are. And I believe numbers and stats are very personal to an individual person. So like, what you consider to be good for your business may not be what I consider to be good for my business, and vice versa. What I say is bad for my business may be outstanding for your business, and what I say is good for my business you wouldn't even dream of, or the other way around. Like, I may say numbers and your business could be doing absolutely amazingly. You're like, oh my god, you only made that much. Like, and it's a very, very personal thing, but I do think that it's worth disclosing and sharing, because it's scary as a small business when you're trying to make this is my only income. I gave up, well, I didn't give up, I got made redundant from a job that I earn 47k, so like, it was a good, well-paid job. I gave up to do this, and my numbers are nowhere near where I need them to be. Ideally, I'd like to make my income that I made from my full-time job. I'm nowhere near that, but I know my numbers compared to other small businesses may seem good. You probably hear Coop as well. But I just want to caveat that these are my opinions, my feelings about my numbers and my thoughts on the event. And I don't want anybody feeling that I'm ungrateful, because I'm not. Don't get me wrong, I am so freaking grateful. This year has been 10 times harder than last year, and last year was 10 times harder than the year before. To the point where I probably won't be doing this again. I won't be doing this by the end of the year, because I'm going to have to go back and get a job, because having taken a salary drop from my previous salary to what I earn now, I am going to have to go get a real job, I think. I don't like using the word real job, traditional job. But if it stays like this, my shop will be gone by the end of the year. That's not what this video is about. Hang on. Tangents. See, I'm incapable of keeping myself on track. But I just wanted to say that this is me. This is my opinions. Oh, there's a bird falling out the tree. I am incredibly grateful, like beyond grateful, for everything, all the sales that I made at the event this year. I had some amazing interactions and I absolutely loved it. There will be some negativity in this video because I personally felt quite negative after the event. Which is why I've basically disappeared for a couple of weeks. But my thumb, I won't show you too closely, but I took a nail off my thumb. I needed time to process. So I will get into that more in a little bit. Right. I am going to start with the worries that I had going into the event this year. As I said, this is my third year doing it. I did it in 23, 24 and this is 25. So it's my third year on the trot doing the event, and so I had expectations. I think when you've done something a few times, you have expectations, you have numbers to compare it to, and you have an idea of what you want, how you need, how things are going to go. So this year I was exceptionally worried because for those who don't know, the event was going to be held in Manchester Central, in the centre of Manchester, which is where we have been for the last 2 years. However, Oasis tour dates was released as like a last minute thing, and the date that they picked to play in Manchester was the date that the event was at Manchester Central, and the hotel prices like instantaneously quadrupled overnight. And Manchester's already a pretty expensive city to stay in. Just saying. So they went absolutely insane. So the organiser realised that this was going to add a huge impact to people's finances of getting to the event, like the ability to get there, the amount of people in the city and this, that and the other, and they decided that they weren't able to do that date anymore and that they would move it to find another date. I believe they tried to find another date at Manchester Central, but there weren't any dates that worked because it's like the biggest place in Manchester to hold events. I think Comic-Con was actually the weekend of the event that we were at Wigan, so it's a big venue, so they had to look around and find somewhere else. So they found a venue in Wigan, so just like outside of Manchester, but it was like we had the whole building to ourselves. It was like a self-contained venue specifically for the event. So that was my first major worry, was the event had moved. It was no longer in central Manchester and it was at Wigan. I don't know much about I'm rubbish with geography. I'm even rubbish with geography that's anything past Birmingham. So I was a little bit like, oh, how close is this to the city? Is it convenient? Will we get how is it going to work? It's a different venue. It's loads of different spaces. It's not one big room, which is what we had at Manchester. I just didn't know how it was going to work. So that was a big worry for me, to the point where I almost didn't apply, or I would have applied, but I almost didn't accept my stall because I wasn't sure how it would be not being in the centre of Manchester. So that was my first thing. The second thing was I wasn't sure how ticket sales were going. I know the VIP event sold out, but in my brain, and I actually think it should be, the VIP event is a separate event. The VIP bit is a planner, journaling, stationery event, and you are in that room doing that. You're not shopping, you don't have time, you get a couple of hours, that's it. So that is an event, and then you have StationeryFest, which is all of the shopping and all of the shops, where there's like 100 shops that you can come and see. So I knew the VIP bit sold out really quickly, but I wasn't sure how StationeryFest ticket sales were going, whether or not people were willing to travel to Wigan to just shop stationery. So I was a little bit like, oh, I don't know how this is going to go. The other factor that played into whether or not I was going to have a store this year was the cost increase for a store. I wrote this down somewhere. So this year I had 2 6-foot tables, so I had a 12-foot store, and the cost for my store was £264, which I know compares probably about the same as a Comic-Con store. If you're going to do that, it's on a scale of events that I normally attend, that I am only having a stall at, that's really high. I knew that going into it because it had been high the last couple of years. So the 2 years before, however, my store was only £174, something like that. So for the same space. So the event, the cost of my store had got £90 more expensive, which that £90 to me is a whole other event. I could do a whole other event for that £90. So that was a bit of a oof, I don't know if I can afford this. Should I just have one table? What do I do? Hang on, I need a drink. I just want to say the reason for the increase in pricing, I think, is because I was an attendee the first year. Then because I had a stall again the second year, they honoured the price that we paid the first year. But I think if you hadn't been a stall holder the first year, there was an in the middle price last year. But then this year, everybody paid the same. There was no loyalty discount for somebody who had been there for multiple years, and there was no discount for having more space. Normally, if you get a 6-foot table, it's X amount. If you get a 12-foot table, it's slightly less than it would be if you got 2 6-foot tables. Whereas this year, it was, you got a 6-foot table, it was this much. You got a 12-foot table, it was that times 2. You got the next size up, 3 tables, it was that times 3, and it just kept getting bigger depending on. But it was the same price. There was no discount for having more space. So to me, it felt like a massive leap in table cost, because last year I'd had the loyalty pricing And so this year there was none of that, which minor bugbear, because I'm assuming from my history of running like events, and I used to do quite a bit of events management when I worked in my corporate job, Wigan's cheaper than Manchester Central. That was one of the selling points, that it was a cheaper, so our costs would be cheaper. So that was a little bit of a when my store was actually more expensive, quite significantly more expensive. Like, I could take a little bit, but like I said, £90 to me is what I paid for another event later on in the year. So that's a whole other event I could have attended and taken my shop to. So that was my first thing about one of my worries. I did, however, talk it over with my husband, and he was like, let's do it, let's get 12 foot, you've done it the last 2 years, we'll give it a go, we'll see how it goes. It was cheaper to get my hotel, I'll go into that later, but the cost for being at Wigan was definitely cheaper than Manchester Central. But yeah, eventually I decided, I went for it, built my 12 foot table, and that was that. The other thing that I was... 2 more worries. One of them was that it didn't actually get booked as an event until really late. When I compared when I was doing social media last year for the event, I was doing it months before this year's event had even been confirmed. So that to me was a bit like, oh, how am I gonna have time to like build up enthusiasm and, like, you know, people coming to my store. Like last year I had people coming to my store because they wanted stuff in the first hour, but I didn't feel that there was the length of time to do that this year. And the other thing was, I was worried about everything being spread across the venue. This is a personal opinion, very much. I like it when all the shops are in one room. I like it. I feel everybody's on a level playing field. You walk into the room, you can see all of the shops, you can decide what you're going to do, and everything is just, I like it. I know last year at Wigan it wasn't quite everybody was in the one room, but I think it should have been. But there was like the main room last year and then like a little room. Personally, I don't even know where the little room was. I couldn't find it. I think that was a bad idea. I think it should just been only been the shops in the big room, but that's what I like. This year at the venue, I will try and put a map on the screen. My editing skills may not be that good. I don't have editing skills. I just film this and pause it every now and again and then try to cut out when I go off on a tangent. I will try and put a map on the screen to show you, but there was multiple rooms, corridor. That was a really big concern for me this year, was how everything would work, how the flow would work, where people would go, what it would be. So that was one of my worries. Before I talk about the negatives, I don't want to focus on the negatives, but I am going to have to talk about negatives. Before I talk about those, I want to talk about the things that I was proud of this year, the things that I personally did that I was super proud of. This also plays into a little bit about the negatives, like my feelings about things, but what I was proud of. I took 2 pictures, I think, and 1 video in portrait mode when I was at StationeryFest. So I don't have any footage to show you because I'm absolutely rubbish at filming places. I think this is the whole filming on my phone thing. Tangent, just gonna do it. I have a DSLR camera which I'm currently in the process of trying to sell, so that I can use the funds from that to buy myself something to film on. I think I want the DJ Pocket Osmo 3 because it's little and it's cute. Like, it's little and it'll film both ways. It does portrait and landscape. I think I'm leaning towards that as, oh, caught my thumb. I'm leaning towards that, but I need to sell my DSLR camera first because I don't have the like £620. I need to buy one of those. But that's beside the point. So I didn't film anything. I will insert here, or here, if I can, my little clip of what at my stall, because that's the only thing I did film. I filmed a clip of my stall for Instagram and TikTok. So I will insert that here because that was the first thing that I was so proud of this year. If I can, I'll put like the previous pictures from the previous years to like show my stall evolution, because I put so much into my stall this year, and aesthetically how it looked. I brought new branding, I brought new things. I was so pleased with how it came together. There's still room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. But I was so proud of myself about all of the effort and the time and aesthetically how I had made my stall look. I was really, really happy with how it all came together. I got a new, for anybody doesn't know. I got a new like material backdrop. I put that up. It looked absolutely stunning. I was so happy with it. I got a new table runner, which I was really pleased with. The only thing I didn't get was tablecloths, which I am going to get, because for some reason, my stretchy tablecloths had like a massive arch in when I stretched them across the table, and no matter what I did, that wouldn't go away. And that was stressing me out. So I'm going to try and find ones with like a straight front if I can for future events. But that's beside the point. Other than that, I was so happy with how my stall looked. I had my die cut stand, which I bring to events. I had a new pegboard that was all on branding thing. I'd like refresh the paint on all of my stands. I brought wire racks in the Prime Day sales because I haven't had those before. But I thought they might help me with my displays, and they really did. I was so proud of how my stall looked, and I was so pleased with how it looked. Because not just did I put effort into my stall, I put a huge amount of effort into my branding and everything being consistent, everything being my brand colours, all being the same, everything being branded and having my branding on. I worked so hard, and so hard. I don't think, unless you're another small business, you can quite comprehend how hard we work to get ready for big events like that. All I did for about 6 weeks before StationeryFest was make stock for StationeryFest, make everything how I want, like just physically make the products. I don't know, 80%, 90% of my stall, I physically make myself here in this office. Ow, I caught my thumb again. This is the problem when your thumb doesn't have a proper nail on, like a whole nail on it, is you catch it. It really freaking hurts. If anybody that doesn't know, I sliced my nail when I got back from StationeryFest with my guillotine when I was making myself a planner insert, because I was all inspired and I wanted to get back into my planner because I hadn't basically done it all year because I've just gone screw it. But then I sliced my thumb on my guillotine because I was an idiot, and it hurt a lot, and it took a really long time for the pain, like it took the whole week I was away for the pain to go away. But now I keep catching up, I have to put plaster on it. Hang on. I forgot what I was saying. I was saying things I was proud of. So there was my stall, there was my branding, and new products. I set myself a goal that when I went to StationeryFest, I wanted a good proportion, 50%-ish of my stall, if not more, to be new products and designs and things. And I think I achieved that. So I had my die cut stand holds 96 die cuts. It's a square, obviously. So one side is a square and she makes a triangle with her fingers. Whatever. I made one whole side new stickers, like one entire side I made, so that's like 24 new stickers or something I made to go down the side. I was really pleased and really proud of those, and they did go down well. I made new notebooks, all new designs, like notebooks I had made. I did new tumblers, so I had done like all of these in tumblers. I made stationery specific ones as well. I had new pouches. I also had jewellery, so I had these multiple of it, like so many of these that's one way, of these earrings and key rings. I spent a lot of money, and I put an awful lot of time and thought and effort in what I wanted to have on my stall, and so that was something that I was really proud of. I was really proud of before the event, and I don't say I'm proud of myself very often, or that I'm pleased with something that I have done, but I was really pleased and really happy with how my stall looked. And yeah, if I've managed to put the other pictures here of my previous stalls, the previous years, hopefully other people will agree that I had quite a glow up. I had put a lot more into it than I would normally, because like I said, this year's small business has been really hard. So I kind of was like, go big or go home. And I'm not sure go big or go home worked for me this year, which is disappointing. What do I want to talk about? I think I'm going to talk about the event and the negatives. Then I'm going to talk about money, and then I'll end on positives, I think, because I don't want to end this on a negative, because overhaul it. I don't want to look at the event as a negative thing, but I had negative feelings about that at and after the event. I will I will go into the negatives. I will caveat this with, obviously the stress of the event. Sorry if this is TMI or if it, but the stress of the event brought my period on a week early, like a full week, like a 24-day cycle early. I think that happens, like anybody who is a woman, has periods, will know the day before your period, your emotions are all over the place. So I think my feelings and emotions were probably impacted by that quite a lot. I definitely struggled in the afternoon. I was trying really hard not to cry, a lot. So I think all of that played into it. But I have spoken to other small businesses and got their opinions and feelings about the event, and I do know that I'm not alone in thinking and feeling what I feel, despite my own personal hormones. So apologies if that was TMI, but we have 28-day cycles. These things all come in to play. So it is what it is. So I will talk about the first thing that riled me up, something chronic about the event. And I know I'm not the only person this riled up, but it really riled me up. I know I got so cross because of my hormones. Was that when you applied for a stall, you could apply for a stall to be either a Friday stall holder and you just went Friday evening and you went home, or a Saturday stall holder and you had the whole day on Saturday. I looked at it, obviously having attended the last 2 years, I went, well, I'm going to apply for Saturday. There was nowhere that said that you couldn't apply to do a Friday stall and a Saturday stall. Had I had the option of doing a Friday and a Saturday stall, I probably would have gone for that, because my husband takes the day off work anyway to come with me for the weekend. So it wouldn't, my mother-in-law always comes up the night before we travel up. So it wouldn't have made too much of a difference if we travelled up late Thursday, stayed the night, set up on Friday, and that it wouldn't, for how I have to organise things, it wouldn't have made a difference personally, other than an extra night in a hotel to go up and do the extra day. So I didn't apply for that because you couldn't. However, of the 40 odd, just under 40 stalls that were there on Friday, half of them were there on Saturday. In fact, there was more stalls were there on Saturday that had been there on Friday than there were just Friday stalls. So that, I started off a little bit annoyed, because, well, I probably didn't help the fact I got there as the event started at 2 o'clock, so I had to queue. It was all people to get in, to get my badge, to get my stall stuff, to find out where I had to go. But that did frustrate me, because typically if you have 2 days at an event, you're going to do better than you do if you have 1 day at an event. So that was the first thing that I kind of started off a bit meh. The second thing is really minor, and it's a really thing that really, it's just one of those little things that really, really bugs me when I go to events. And it's not just this event, I've had it at other events too, is put the shop's name on their table so they can find it. I had to sit there with a map and try to work out in relation to what the map said where my store was, because when so there was that. And then we unloaded the car, we got everything all set up. As always, setup takes me way longer than I expect it to be. It was hot when we set up because there's no air conditioning. There's never air conditioning when you set up or take down an event, because you have the doors open to go in and out all of the time. So I guess companies don't think it's viable to have the air conditioning on, but it was so hot. It was so hot and sweaty. But we did it. Nathan and I got everything all set up. We got there at 2 and we finished at 5, maybe just after 5. So I was pretty pleased with that, because it can take hours to set up a stall and get it right. So I was pretty pleased with that. We did it, we got it all set up. I put out 80% of my stock. I don't put out things I'm worried about overnight. So I don't put out any of my glass products like these, because I don't want anything to happen and to come in the morning to broken glass everywhere. And I never put out my die cut stickers, because I don't have a problem with my stickers curling ever, but I don't want to come to an event and find that they've all curled because they've been out overnight. So we left a few bits and bobs to do, which I knew I was going to do in the morning, but we get there early, so that was fine. That wasn't a problem. I don't think I've told you about the layout, have I? I don't think I have. As I mentioned before, one of my worries was the layout. Was like how the flow would work with people. So as you walked into the venue through the main doors, you had like a reception desk here where you got your lanyard, and then if you went off and there was a corridor. My understanding is it was basically a corridor, went round a corridor, and then there was like 2 rooms of stores, and then at the end of the corridor there was like the event room for the VIPs, and then off the first to the right off of the corridor was the auditorium, which is where I was. I picked to be in the auditorium because typically in events that I have been at, as in every event I've ever been at, the space where all the stalls are it's a big room. It's an auditorium-y type place. That's where the majority of the stalls are, which is where people typically migrate first. So I picked to be there because I thought that made the most sense. It didn't work, this event, at all. At all. I know it's human nature to follow the crowds, but I estimate we probably didn't see half of the people in our room that were at the event because they didn't know it was there. There was no signage saying more shops this way or shops this way. It was quiet in the auditorium compared to the previous years and what it has been before. So yeah, it was because of the way the corridor worked and there were stalls on both sides of the corridor. People went in and you naturally went there because you literally walked in and there was stalls right there. So you started, and then when you started on a corridor, you flow and you follow it round. So they did that. They started in the corridor, they followed it all of the way around. They went into the 2 rooms at the end, and then some people made it into where we were. I don't think some people did. I know for a fact people were coming to us at the end of their shopping experience. The amount of people I had who came and said, oh no, I spent all my money out in the corridor, I didn't even realise there were shops in here, can I have a business card? Or the amount of people that came and said, oh my god, I've been trying to find you everywhere because I saw this sticker online and I really wanted to buy it, and you're the I've done all my shopping now, but I can't leave without this one sticker. So I know people weren't making it into the room that we were in. Like, there wasn't a flow. The flow was poor. There was no announcements reminding people that there was a whole other room of shops. There was a lot of shops in there, and there was big name shops in there as well. So yeah, it's frustrating, and it's really like disheartening when you have people coming in saying, oh my god, I've been trying to find you but I haven't found you and now I've run out of money, or oh, I really want this one sticker, or I really wanted this and now you haven't got it, because they didn't know where you were. I don't know. The flow for me didn't work. I had to go to the bathroom, as you do. I felt really awful, but you had to physically push through the corridor to go to the bathroom. When I'm at events, I always wait to the last minute to pee as well, like to use the facilities. I always wait to the last minute because whilst Nathan is fab on the stool, I don't necessarily like leaving him alone with that much space. It was awful. It was so hard to push through the corridor, and I felt really bad, but so I was just like, I've got to get to the bathroom and I've got to get through these people. I think the other thing about the corridor was the heat. I am extremely fortunate that I didn't experience that. If I had experienced that, I probably would have had a full-on meltdown because I don't cope in the heat, hence sat here wearing a strappy dress in the heat today. I would have probably had a meltdown and been quite poorly because I don't cope in the heat at all. The good thing about the auditorium was the aircon was amazing and nobody was in there, so the aircon was fantastic. I didn't get hot at all, apart from when I went to the bathroom. I think the flow in the corridors would have been better had the stalls only been on one side, like one side of stalls, and then you had a side to walk. I think that would have been better, because yeah, it wasn't pleasant out there, and I feel for any of the shops that were out there manning their stalls, because they couldn't stand behind their stalls because their stalls were up against the walls. It was people everywhere. It was overwhelming. I wouldn't have coped, and I would have been a really grumpy cow if I had been out there. What else did I have? So I think that was the main negatives as such, was that people just weren't finding the room that I was in, and therefore sales were down on last year. I'm going to talk about numbers now, and then I'm going to do some positives. How have I been rambling for 29 minutes? I'm probably not going to edit this either, so it's just going to be me rambling because it is what it is. Sorry, I had to have a coffee break. I'm going to talk about numbers now. I am only in competition with myself. These are my numbers. My goal for StationeryFest every year is to get better. Even if I only sell £1 more than I sold the year before, it's an improvement on the year before. That has always been my goal. When I do an event multiple times, every year I want to go back. I want to be seeing growth. I want to be seeing improvement, and I want to be seeing that it was worth repeat going to that event. I hope that makes sense. I'm only in competition with myself. I am extremely aware from seeing other videos, talking to other storeholders, that some people, these numbers, are going to think I'm an ungrateful cow. They're going to think like, what the hell, Linda, you've made that much money. I would be over the moon if I made that much money at an event. Don't get me wrong, I am so grateful. I am so grateful. I really honestly am. But this is my business. This is my only job. This is my income. I need it to be getting better and better and better and bigger and bigger and bigger to a point, not going backwards. So before, I please know I am not ungrateful at all in any way, shape or form. I am so grateful. The fact that climate, people are choosing to spend the money on my shop on things that are offer fun or gifts, like I'm so grateful. And I don't think there are the right words to express how that makes me feel. Like I could cry like about it. Honestly, I am overwhelmed that people chose to spend this money with me. But compared to my year before, I was disappointed and sad. I'm just going to open a spreadsheet because I did an hourly thing. Give me a sec. Okay, I've got my spreadsheet open, which has like the hourly breakdown. Because one of the things I found the first year was in the VIP shopping bit. Because the VIPs don't have time, they don't have time to shop fully. I honestly, I have a thought how I think the event should run. Maybe I'll do that at the end. The first hour in 2023 was quite quiet for me. I only had 5 people visit my stall in that whole hour. So this following year, I put a huge amount of effort into social mediaing products that I had, like the FOMO for products that you want people to come and get them before they sell out and things. And I saw a huge increase in monetary value in that first hour that I had the year before. And then this year, whilst I had quite a similar number of people visit the stall in that hour, monetary value was a lot less, and it was under half of the year before. So the first hour I was expecting like a buzz, because last year there was such a buzz in that VIP hour. The VIPs were all going around, they were so happy, they were like, I got this, and oh my god, you're like my foot. Like, I had so many people come and it was lovely. I didn't have any of that this year. I literally, like, they were like, oh, and we're letting the VIPs in, and then in our room all of the stallholders were just looking at each other and like, where are the people? There's no people. Apart from, I was going to say this for positive, but I'm going to say it now because it's my biggest regret is I didn't take a picture with one of my lovely customers who came up wearing one of my t-shirts, and I was wearing one of my t-shirts, and I should have taken a picture and I didn't, and I really annoyed at myself that I didn't think about it. I think it's because I was just overwhelmed with like waiting for things to happen. But she came to my store. I'm relatively confident I was one of her early store visits, and that started my day off amazingly. I was like, oh my god, somebody's here, they're wearing my clothes, and I was so happy. That was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. But overall, that hour was quite quiet. Then this did roll me up a little bit. A voiceover came over on the tannoy saying that there was a massive queue outside and the people were waiting to come in and just be ready for an onslaught of people. And we were like, everybody in the, like, all of the storeholders in the room, you could see them all like looking at each other and being like, oh yay, it's about to like get busy. Did it? Did not. It did not. We were about 5 minutes after they opened the doors. We were like, well, that was anticlimactic. There's literally nobody here. So we were just like laughing and looking at each other, being like, yeah, that wasn't what I expected. But there we go. I think that was just, as I've said, the layout and where I was and positioning and things and stuff. It was, but yeah, it was, you know, when everybody's like, oh, and then you're like, oh, okay, I'll just twiddle my thumbs. But there we go. I will put some figures up here. I will talk about what I did what I've done, what I took each year, and sales and the items that I sold. As I have said, if you are a small business and these numbers don't match your, or these numbers are bigger than your numbers and you're thinking I'm ungrateful and this, that and the other, please know these are my numbers. I'm in competition with myself. The only person you can better is yourself. So I will pop them up here. But in 2023, my total sales was 1,282. which I was ecstatic about. I was like, oh my God, it was amazing. I had 133 sales, so 133 people visited my stall, and they sold 432 items ish, because I did some like bundle deals and stuff. So that was my starting point. I'm very fortunate that I've done 3 years, so I've got points to like measure everything against. And the average spend that year was £9.64 per person, which I was pretty happy with. I have a lot of low value items. My biggest seller is always die cuts, and they are £2.50 each, or like a bundle deal that you get. So low, I typically find I have a reasonable number of people visit my stall, but buy lower, they spend a lower amount. That makes sense. Then in 2024, I was blown out of the water, and I took £2,103, which compared to the year before, I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And it's what you want. You want growth. I did the first year, I did the second year, I worked on things that I needed to improve from the first year, and I saw growth, and I was so proud. And I had 169 people visit my store that year, so I had a few more people, and I sold 710 items. So ish. I'm not sure I did the maths right on die cuts, but I sold, 710 items ish. So last year I was buzzing after the event. I could pay my bills. Like I have an amount that I ideally have to contribute to the finances every month, and the amount that I'd like to. That was my I'd like to amount. So I was so happy. And then this year, so 2025, I took 1,433, which is more than the first year, but significantly less than the second year when, as I have said before, I wanted to see growth. Even if I just took £2,104, I wanted to see growth, just a tiny bit. I had 152 people visit my store, so I did have slightly less than last year. I sold 560 items, so I sold less items than last year as well. I forgot to say, so in 2024, my average spend was £12.44, which was a big increase from the year before, so I was really happy with that. This year, my average spend was £9.42, so my average spend was less than the first year, even though I took more money. So yeah, these figures will be around here somewhere. So those were my overall figures. By the end of the day, I was like, okay, I have made my like baseline that I wanted to make was £1,000. So I had made more than that. At the end of the day, I was like, okay, so I have made some money. It is worth being here. When I came back home and I looked at like my stats for the hours, the first 2 hours, so the first bit till like 10 a.m. 2024, hang on, I can't think. I took £544. Until 10 a.m. this year, I took 299. So it was a lot slower. There was a lot less people in that first bit. And in fact, by 11 a.m. last year, I had taken over £900. And at 11 a.m. this year, I'd only just taken over just over £500. So it was a lot slower. There was a lot less people coming to the stall, and I didn't have the buzz that I had the year before. So it was just a bit. The other thing I found, which I don't know what to do about it. I can't do anything about it. Was that the people came in fits and bursts. There was no people, then there was people, then there was no people, and then there was people. So my store was dead, and there was nobody at it. Then there was too many people in my store, and people were walking away because they couldn't get to my store. And then there was no people at my store, and then people were there, and then people were walking away because they couldn't get to my store. That's frustrating. I don't know what to do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. But I saw people physically get cross that they couldn't reach what they wanted to on my stall and walk away. And I was just like, I don't know how to help you. I can't, I don't know what to do. So yeah, those are my numbers. I am so grateful. I was able to pay my bills last month. July? That was July? Yeah, for July. I haven't been able to for August, but I could for July. I left feeling deflated, and I left feeling that I hadn't grown, and that the effort that I put in, I don't know how to express the amount of effort the amount of effort that I put into making things. Like, I made notebooks. I think I sold 3. I made like 45. And I worked, so these are really hard to make. They're not just stick bits of paper together, and like these are, I put a lot of time and effort into these, and I sold so few that I just felt the time I'd physically been making the stock. I had spent late nights, I had been in my office in all of the heats and all of this, that and the other, just making stock. I just felt really deflated that the effort I had put in hadn't come to fruition, and I hadn't done better than the year before, or even what I did the year before, or anywhere near what I had done the year before. And I had put in significantly more effort this year than I had the year before, is how I felt. So yeah, I am excuse me, again, eternally grateful that people have chosen to spend their money with me. I am so grateful. And it's not just about the event, it's not just about the money that you make at that event. It's about the connections that you meet, the people that you meet. I saw some people I haven't seen in a long time. I've been wanting pictures, and I was like, oh, I love this. I hate having my picture taken, but I do it because they ask for it. But so people wanted pictures and things, and people were like, oh, I know you, and hey, how are you, and wanted hugs and stuff. So I love that. I absolutely loved that. And I love so much. I love about the feeling of the event. And like I said, it got me back into my planner that I have literally not done all year because I just went, well, what's the point? I left feeling happy from that side of things, just a bit deflated from other side of things. I had an increase in followers on my socials, which was fantastic because the socials is one of the ways that we meet people. I didn't have an increase in my newsletter subscribers this year. Maybe I didn't have the thing on my stall like saying please subscribe to my newsletter. I can't remember, but normally after an event I get a little boost, but I didn't this year. I don't know why. That newsletter is another thing. I'll do another video on it. I want to try and like change the way that I get people into my newsletter because I've been stagnant. I've had the same number of people from basically the whole year. I'd like to kind of get that moving up a little bit. That's beside the point. What else do I need to say? Pros. I'm going to end on some pros and then I'm going to wrap it up because I've been talking for 45 minutes. How? Pros about the venue. The aircon was freaking amazing in the room I was in. I'm a fan of aircon. I think we should have it more places in the UK. It was really good. I was really pleased with that. One other thing. Not pro, not a con. I just found quite amusing. I didn't realise the church owned the building. And anybody who knows my products know they have like swear words and they're a bit sassy. I had quite a lot of comments about that. I did, however, have a group of ladies who worked at the Church of England come up and they loved my die cut stickers. They made my day. It was quite towards the end of the day that they came, and it must have been like 4ish o'clock. They made my afternoon. They were so happy, and every time they saw a sticker, they were like, oh my God. And they were like, we need this. And they were just like, oh, can we have these at work? Screw it, we're gonna have these at work. I did this. Yeah, that's what makes these events worth it, is people seeing things that you have created and loving them. I have a split on, I don't hide this, I also don't openly talk about it, perhaps I should more. I have a bit of a split on the designs that I have on my store. Probably 50-50, maybe 60-40. A large proportion of it I do myself. I create myself. I either draw myself badly, but I draw myself, or I get elements and I put things together myself. I use fonts that I've created, and then I also have a section on my store where I like supporting other small artists who draw and design artwork, and I like supporting them by buying their artwork and putting it on things. So I don't think in the modern day and age you have to just be one or the other. I like being both. I like doing both. I'm going to continue doing both. But seeing things that I had done and that I had designed and I had created, like, people were raving over them. It was so good. I was just like, oh my God, thank you. And I get a bit shy about it, a bit embarrassed, but that warms the cockles of my heart and all of that. So that for me is you guys. That's my highlight. It's seeing the people that have the things, and then people coming up wearing my t-shirts, or people coming up like with my stickers on the thing, or my badges on them, or the things that's just what made it. My other one of my other positives was I was wearing my What Would Buffy Do? My Buffy Will Patrol Tonight t-shirt. Every time I went to the bathroom, somebody commented on it. They were like, "Oh my god, I love your t-shirt." I'm like, "Yeah, come buy it." But yeah, the other pros about the venue was the parking was free. I like free parking. It wasn't £25 a day, which we have to pay in Manchester Central. My hotel was significantly cheaper. Last year in Manchester, I think I paid £200 for a hotel, and this year I only paid £45. Part of that is last year, my husband and I don't get very many nights away, so we booked a fancy hotel near the venue because we didn't want to be moving the car, driving around with the parking issues. We wanted to park the car and then walk to the hotel, walk to the venue, and just do all of that. So I did pay a lot more for the hotel last year. This year we stayed in a travel lodge that didn't even have a restaurant. I went to Costco for dinner because the hotel was here and then like Costco was here. And then we went back to the hotel room and Nathan fell asleep because he was tired from driving. But that was a pro. I'll give that. That was definitely a pro. We could have stayed cheaper in hotel. We could have had a cheaper hotel in Manchester last year had we wanted to, but as I said, that was personal experience. Hi, Coop. I think Coopy wants to say hello. Hang on. Nope, he just wants to pour at me and be demanding. He's coming back now. I think my lighting's gone, but it is what it is. The sun's not shining today. It's really muggy and really, but the sun's not shining. But yeah, the last thing, it was the people. It was you guys. That was my highlight. And seeing all my small business friends that I chat to online all the time, but I don't physically get to see in person. Those for me were the highlights. I'm on the fence about whether or not I do the event next year, believing that it's going to be in Wigan. I think it massively depends on the organisation, layout, flow, how that works, because I personally believe this year it didn't work. I'm going to tell you what I think. I think the event should be. I think the event should be a 2-day event. As it was kind of this year, it was like a half day and a whole day. I think the VIP planner event, hey Penny, should be 1 day. No shopping, just the VIP workshops, talks, all the things that they do. I don't know because I've never done it because I had a stall. That should be 1 day. And then I think the second day should be just shopping. And with Penny, hang on, let me do this. I think the second day should be just shopping, and that you don't have the ow down. Why are you getting? Oh, Jesus. So Penny wants to come say hello, having just scraped my arm. Stupid dog. Oh, hang on, and the other one wants to come up now. No, you don't. See, right. I'm going to finish this because the dogs obviously want to go outside or want breakfast or something. But yeah, I think it should be 2 days. I think shopping should just be 1 day, just shopping, no event, and the event should be a separate day. But that's beside the point. I am going to leave my very long chatty vlog here. If you've made it to the end, well done. Well done you. Thank you very much. Let me down below if you made it all the way through my waffle. If you are new here and you aren't subscribed to the channel, I would really appreciate it. I think I set myself a goal of trying to get 100 subscribers this year, so it would be nice to hit that. Not that I never hit my goals, but it'd be nice. I can try. And I will leave all my links and stuff down below if you want to have a little mosey, want to see like some of the nice, it's backwards now, the fun things that I have. I am I probably won't manage another video this wibbly wobbly, sorry. I probably won't manage another video this month because I've got 1 more week, then we go camping, and then that's the end of August. However, I will be planning videos more and aiming to do more videos, like realistic behind the scenes reality, I think. I don't know. I'm going to put a bit of thought into it because I enjoy doing this. I enjoy the sitting and the chatting and the talking to people. I'm very boring because I do it on my phone. It's all in this one spot. I mean, you can't even see like my sign and stuff. It's like, it's just me. And I'm not sure people like that. But if you've made it through my 50-minute vlog, please leave me a comment down below and I will do my best to reply. And yeah, please like and subscribe if you can. I hope this has been some level of interesting, or I don't know. I'm going to go now. Have a fabulous day and I will see you soon. Bye.